Okay, we're in volume 6 of the Bible story. This is what my volume 6 looks like. It has two ladies on it, and one lady, has got her hand up. Okay. We are at part 1, story 2, The Forgotten Dream. This is, I like these stories, but let me get back. Okay, the magicians and astrologers who thronged Nebuchadnezzar's court and advised the king how to rule his empire were not at all pleased, I'm sure, at the arrival of Daniel and his friends. I could hear them say to each other under their breath, "Who are these young upstarts? Just out of school and think they know everything. Foreigners, too." But it was not long. Somebody's coming. But it was not long before they changed their minds about them. One morning, when the king took his seat upon the golden throne, his servants noticed that his face wore a troubled look. Rumors spread that he had a bad night and was in a very ugly mood. That something had upset him was clear enough, but what it was nobody knew, nor did anyone dare ask. The servants guessed it was going to be a trying day for everybody, and they guessed right. Suddenly the king rose 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 himself from a deep thought and snapped out a command. "Summon my counselors," he said. "Bring them all, the magicians, the astrologers, and the sorcerers, and the Chaldeans." Instantly the servants went into action. The king's command was carried by runners to all the wise men of Babylon. Soon dozens of these important people, clad in their colorful robes of office, were hurried to the palace, wondering what the king wants of them at such an hour. So it was late at night. Was there a bad news from an army in the field? Had a revolution, broken out somewhere? Or did the king merely thought of some new building he wanted to erect in the city? One by one the counselors filed into the throne room and stood before the king. At once they noticed his terrible look and prepared for the worst. When they all arrived, the king began to speak, and then was everybody surprised. He did not call them consider consider any bad news from any part of the kingdom, nor did he want to talk about raising money for some grand building scheme. He just wanted to tell them about a dream he had. Two had. Okay. At this, everybody gave a sigh of relief. If only if it was only a dream that was troubling the king, they could soon put his mind at ease. "O king, live forever," said the chief of the Chaldeans, bowing low. "Tell thy servant the dream, and we will show the interpretation." And then we have a beautiful, oh yes, painting by Rosa Harlan, and it's of the statue that is in his dream. And like I say, I wonder where the originals are. Yet I think these books are 70 years old. Okay? And the caption of this says, in the dream that God sent to him, Nebuchadnezzar saw a great image with a head of gold. Its breast was of silver, its thighs of brass, its legs of iron, and its toes were part iron and part clay. Okay, then we get back to the story. They were experts at spinning yarns about people's dreams, and if they could learn the king's dream, they could easily give some explanation of it. Excuse me. Unfortunately, the king couldn't remember his dream. Maybe you have had a similar experience. You have had the most vivid dream while you slept, but in the morning you couldn't remember anything about it. That's what happened to Nebuchadnezzar, and he was worried about it. No, he said to the wise men, you tell me the dream. That's why I called you here. Now the Chaldeans, the magicians, and the astrologers, and the sorcerers looked at each other with alarm. In alarm. Nobody had ever asked them to do such a thing. How could they know what the man dreamed about the night before? And they didn't dare guess, for they might guess wrong. I pray you well, if you tell me, said the king, I will see that you have the gifts and rewards and honor. But if you don't, believe me, you shall be torn limb from limb, and your houses shall be laid in ruins. After the Chaldeans pleaded that the king's rival reveal his dream, and again the king told them what he would do if they didn't answer him, and soon. There's not a man upon earth that can show the king's matter, replied the Chaldeans. And there is no king, lord, nor ruler that asks such things at any magician or astrologers or Chaldeans. And it was a rare thing that a king requires, and there is none other that can show it before the king except the gods, who dwells not with flesh. In other words, no one can tell you unless a god can. And no god is going to be in flesh, because they're all statues. Okay? At this, Nebuchadnezzar became furious. He had hoped that these men would claim to know so much, would easily recall a dream. Now it dawned upon him with what cheap tricksters they were. They had been deceiving him all along. He was through with them, and he wouldn't have them about his court any longer. Hot with anger, he gave orders that all the wise men of Babylon should be killed. And then it has a picture down at the bottom. And it says HR, so it's a little different from all the rest of them. And it's a 2-pager. and him yelling at the people, at the magicians, the sorcerers, and all, and the Chaldeans. He's mad. Ooh, super mad, ain't he? And he's already threatened to kill them. And it's break. Ah, got you on suspense, didn't it? Okay, so that was the end of part 1, story 2. And we're going to take our break, and then we're going to be back, and we're going to start on to see who told him, what's going on. And you'll see.